Welcome to the E-Series infrared camera tutorial from ITC. This orientation will provide you with an overview on how to operate this line of thermal imagers from FLIR Systems. Of course, knowing how to use this camera is just the first step. Thermographers must also understand how to interpret what they're seeing, and that includes how to accurately measure temperatures. For that to happen, however, proper certification training is required. So to get the most out of your investment in this technology, ITC can help. Head to infraredtraining.com/schedule, where you'll find a number of upcoming IR training dates available at convenient locations across the US and Canada. And for our fellow thermographers based in Europe, the Middle East, or Africa, go to irtraining.eu for the latest schedule for classes in your region. And if you're ready to get certified, stay tuned until the end of this presentation for more information. It's important to know that this tutorial applies to all the infrared cameras in this series of thermal imager. And while they may look similar, there are some differences in the technical specifications for each one that you should know about. These can be found on the FLIR support website at support.flir.com. Once on the site, go to Help and Support. From here, select Downloads. Click on Data Sheets to display a table with all of FLIR's thermography products. Selecting the model will bring you to the list of the various camera configurations. Pick the one for your imager and click on the corresponding data sheet to view the camera specifications. Now, before we go any further, let's first see what comes in the camera case, as well as learn more about the FLIR support website and the many resources that it offers. For that, here's ITC's Jason Gagnon.
Included with the camera are all the essential components and accessories required to get you up and running with your new thermal imager as quickly as possible. This segment will orient you with the basics of unpacking your camera, including an overview of battery charging, what accessories are in the case, plus how to register your camera online. The first thing you'll want to do is charge your new batteries. We recommend charging them for about 3 hours before their first use. Here's the battery charger that comes with the camera, and you'll find the power supply for the charger inside the accessories box. So I'm going to plug in the charger, and then we'll install the batteries. Now, the lights on the front will blink while the batteries are charging and turn solid once fully charged and ready for use. While the batteries are charging, let's take a look at what else is in the case. Inside the accessories box, you'll also find some camera documentation, a USB-C cable, and an SD card for storing images. The documentation includes a QuickStart guide, a calibration certificate, and a license card for the FLIR Tools Plus software. It's always a good idea to register your camera as soon as possible. Registration will extend the warranty of the thermal imager and allow you to submit a service request online. Registration can be done at our FLIR Support Center website. To access the page, go to support.flir.com. Now, if you already have an account, you can click Login. Otherwise, click Sign Up to create a new account. I already have an account, so I'll log in. Now, to register your new camera, you can just click FLIR Product Registration, type the serial number here, and click Validate. Now, the serial number can be found on the calibration certificate that comes with your camera, and it's also printed inside the battery compartment on your camera. The Support Center is also where you can download the FLIR Tools software, which is used for analyzing images and creating inspection reports. This program and other downloads can be found by clicking the Help and Support menu and then Downloads. In the Downloads section, click Software, and then for the category, choose Temperature Analysis Software. Then choose FLIR Tools and Tools Plus, and then choose FLIR Tools version 6. If you click on this blue link and scroll down, you can find the download options. Now, many of these cameras include a free upgrade to the FLIR Tools Plus software. The license is included in the camera case on this scratch card. So when you run FLIR Tools the first time, you can click the Tools Plus option and enter the license key shown here to upgrade. If you ever have any support questions, you can click Help and Support and then ask a question. You can fill in this form and then click Continue to submit the incident to one of our support specialists who will be able to follow up with you as soon as possible. All image and video files are stored on a removable card that comes with the Thermal Imager. The slot for the SD card is located under this rubber flap on the front of the camera. Now, it's important to note that this series of cameras does not have any internal memory, so be sure to install the card right away as it is needed to store data. Good tip is to always check that you have the card inserted prior to any inspection. Here you'll also find a USB-C port, which is used for powering the camera, streaming video via HDMI, connecting the camera to the PC for downloading images, and streaming video to our PC software such as FLIR Tools and Researcher. Once the batteries are charged, go ahead and install one and power up the camera. During the initial startup, you'll be prompted to configure the local parameters for language, time and date, units, and several other regional settings. If you have registered the camera online, you can enter the unlock code to remove the reminder message. The code is sent to you by email once the camera has been registered. Okay, now that the imager is up and running, batteries are charged, and the SD card is installed, let's take a closer look next at some of the important features and functions of your thermal imager.
Before we start an overview of the basic camera functions, I want to point out another great resource for thermographers, and that's the ITC website at infraredtraining.com. Besides our latest training schedule for the US and Canada, you'll find a number of free tutorials, including an overview of the FLIR Tools software that Jason had mentioned a moment ago. Now, if you're new to infrared, this is one webinar you don't want to miss. Go to our on-demand tutorials and look for the basics of FLIR Tools. It's a free 1-hour webcast covering all aspects of the reporting software, including an overview of analyzing images and creating reports. There are also about 24 other topics available on demand, which can be viewed at any time by going to infraredtraining.com/webinars. So now that we've covered what's in the case, let's talk about the basics of operation. First, I'd like to point out some of the various control buttons found on the thermal imager. Starting with the back, you have the navigation pad here with the center push button. Pressing the center button will call up the main menu, which you can then navigate with the pad, moving left and right. To the left of the navigation pad is the Image Archive or Playback button, which is used to open and review any saved images. To the right of the navigation pad is the Back button that, while in the menu system, you can back out of a selection to the main menu or go back to a live image. Now's a good time to note that the imager is also touchscreen driven. Just tap the 3 dots here on the bottom of the screen, which will bring up the main menu, which you can then navigate. This makes it easy to move around the menu system and adjust the various settings. Now, if you're wearing gloves, it'll likely be easier to stick with the navigation pad and the center push button. Having the correct date and time entered into your camera is important for proper documentation and record keeping. These values are tied to each data file when you save a thermal image and cannot be changed after saving. To set the date and time, navigate to the Settings menu. Touch the bottom of the screen to bring up the main menu and select the Settings icon using either the touchscreen or the navigation pad. Go to Device Settings and pick Language, Time, and Units. Here you can set the time zone, the time, and the date in your thermal imager. There's also an option for the date and time format, which allows you to match the time display for your particular region. It's here that you can also adjust the temperature units from Fahrenheit to Celsius and the distance values from feet to meters. And unlike the date and time, these values can be changed later in the software. The range covers an interval of temperatures that the detector is able to accurately measure without going into saturation. Depending on the model, some infrared cameras have multiple temperature ranges that can be utilized. You work within a range, and when saving an image, all of the temperature data in that particular range is captured. To see what ranges are available on your camera, once again, please refer to the datasheets available on the FLIR support website at support.flir.com. To set the range, navigate to the settings in the main menu. Here, select Camera Temperature Range. Pick the most appropriate range for your application and press the navigation pad button to select the range. Once entered, hitting the back button will then return you to live imaging mode. As with range, focus is another adjustment that must be made correctly before saving. You cannot change the clarity of the focus once you've captured a thermal image. There are two ways to adjust focus on this series of thermal imager. The first is with manual adjustment. Manually adjust the focus by turning the lens housing until the proper focus is obtained. The other way is with autofocus. Activate the autofocus by pressing the top trigger button on the front of the camera. For the autofocus to work properly, the target should have good thermal contrast, meaning there needs to be a distinct difference between warm and cool areas on the object. With targets that are more thermally uniform, where there's not much of an apparent temperature difference, it might be better to use the manual focus instead. There are 4 different image modes available with this series of camera. You can access these by either using the navigation pad or the touchscreen capabilities. Open the main menu and select the image mode icon. 4 options will appear: MSX, which stands for Multispectral Dynamic Imaging, Thermal Only, Picture-in-Picture, and Digital Camera, which displays just the visible light feed. Now, for those of you who are new, we recommend staying in the Thermal Only mode for now, as this will help you better understand what's required for proper focus. You can also always change the image mode later in the software. Thermal tuning is the process of changing the size of the temperature scale in the camera, what's known as adjusting span and level in our certification classes. Adjusting this scale modifies the brightness and contrast of your thermal image. This allows you to highlight important areas of thermal detail. And by default, the camera is set to automatic adjustment mode. This will automatically set the scale based on the hottest and coldest objects in the frame. There may be times, however, when manual adjustment is required, especially if there are extraneously hot or cold objects within the field of view. To manually adjust the image, go to the main menu and select the temperature scale icon located here on the main screen. Pressing the center push button will display your 2 choices, automatic and manual. Selecting manual will allow you to customize the scale settings. Press the navigation pad left or right to pick either the top or bottom number on the temperature scale. The selected number will turn blue. At this point, pushing up or down on the navigation pad will change the value of the number. Bring the numbers closer together to narrow the span and increase contrast, or push them further apart to widen the span and decrease thermal contrast. While in manual mode, there's also a tap auto adjust option where you can automatically change the scale just by touching the image. When neither number is selected in manual mode, pushing the navigation pad up or down changes the level of the image. This leaves the difference between the numbers fixed, but changes the overall level of the span within the range of the camera. You can also use the touchscreen features of the thermal imager to make these adjustments. Tap the number you'd like to change, and then use the slider located between the numbers and move the value up or down depending on what's needed to improve your thermal tuning. This series of camera also offers a number of different color palettes. Tap the bottom of the LCD screen or hit the center push button to bring up the color palette menu. This will open the menu where you'll find several different palettes that are available, plus several color alarm or isotherm settings. These include iron, rainbow, rainbow high contrast, white hot, black hot, Arctic, and lava. Regardless of which color palette you select, you can always change these later, either in the camera in the saved image or in the processing software. This thermal imager also offers several kinds of temperature measurement tools. These include a center spot meter, a hotspot box which provides the maximum temperature inside the displayed box, a cold temperature box with the minimum temperature value displayed, and 2 user preset options. For now, let's select the center spot, which displays the apparent temperature value in the upper left-hand corner here on your display screen. You can move the spot around the image by simply dragging it with your finger. Same with the hot and cold spot area boxes. You can also adjust the size and location of the box by dragging the corners outward or by touching the center of the box and moving it around the screen to different regions of the image. All of these tools are also available in the reporting software and can be modified in a saved image. Now, if you're using a measurement tool, you also need to adjust the temperature measurement parameters. These include the values for emissivity, reflected temperature, relative humidity, air temperature, and atmospheric distance. All 5 of these parameters affect temperature measurement accuracy, especially emissivity and reflected temperature. As such, the values must be set correctly, and to know what those numbers are requires a Level 1 infrared certification training at a minimum. To save an image with this series of camera, pull the main trigger located beneath the autofocus button here on the front of the imager. Now, a good tip to remember, try to remain as still as possible while doing so, as any abrupt or excessive movement during saving may blur the thermal or digital photos as they're captured at the same time when pressing this button. Occasionally you'll notice that the live image freezes for a moment. A clicking sound can also be heard during this brief interruption, and the word calibrating will appear at the top of the display. Now, this is normal, and it's called the Non-Uniformity Correction. Thermal energy from the surrounding environment, or that's generated inside the camera, can actually affect the stability of the detector array. Now, this can impact the integrity of the temperature data that's displayed on the image, causing areas within the field of view to appear to be artificially warmer or cooler. You can force a correction by holding down the image recall button here on the back of the camera. The image will pause for a moment while a shutter, which acts as a uniform target, drops in front of the array. The detectors will then automatically reset and the camera will return to live imaging mode. So, now that we've covered the basics, what's next? Well, if you haven't done so already, it's time to get certified. For those of you in the US and Canada, head to infraredtraining.com/schedule to browse upcoming training dates and locations. And if you're based in Europe, the Middle East, or Africa, irtraining.eu is where you'll find a list of classes in your region. If you're thinking about attending a training class here in the United States, we also run a number of special offers throughout the year. To hear what those are and check availability, call us at the number below or email itc@info@infraredtraining.com. Also, for those programs where 6 or more thermographers that need certification, an on-site course is likely your best bet. Not only will you save money by having ITC come right to your facility, we can also provide customized training that utilizes your equipment and infrastructure too. Contact us to learn more and get a quote. And if you've already registered for a certification class, well, we look forward to working with you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.